Somebody's swiping the second one out of the bag. So Tom's just going to bring it in here.
Well, that's the only way I recognize it.
Always something like that. Y'all come.
Yeah.
Take it first and just go on that way.
It's the one that you got to draw secondary. But I never saw it. Yeah, right. Somewhere I must be over there somewhere. It doesn't look very big. His sister Rosner had, and then she gave it to the family because she started to stay in Chicago. And not that I want to move. She's 5 or 6 years younger, 7 years, family's going to say. I don't think there's anybody close to this. Well, it's cold and he gets cold easily. And his memory is not there, so he doesn't remember. everybody who went to school. I recognize him. Yeah, I recognize him. That's sitting behind. Someone was going to be on the phone.
Hopefully this one works.
Okay, you may be seated. We're here today to remember the life of Sonia Sokol Greenberg, Tzivya Reisel, Bas Moshe Pinchas. We'll begin the service today with a Psalm 23, which will be read by Rabbi Sholom Mimran, the Rabbi of Congregation Dor Tikva.
Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo yachsa. Bino stesha yarbitzeni, al mei menuchas naleni. Nafshi yashovev, yanchini b'maglei tzedek leman shemoi. Gam ki elech, begates al mavetz lo yirara ki ata imadi. Shiftecha mishantecha hema yenachamuni. Ta'aroich lefonai shulchan neged tzorai. Di shantov Hashem en roshi kosi revoya. Achtov v'chesed yedefuni koli mechaye. V'shavti beveis Adonai la'orech yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yes, though I walk through the valley of the shadow and death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all of the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. May her memory be a blessing, and may the family be consoled.
We'll be hearing words of eulogy by members of the family, first by Lee, and then by Bennett, then by Toby, then myself. And I'll call on Lee.
Needless to say, we appreciate all of y'all being here, those present, and those also watching online. I guess we'll go with the more unpolished start and let the more polished speakers speak after me. Those who knew my mom, saw many different sides of her. Someone witty, somebody feisty, the queen of clean. Also, could be slightly opinionated and maybe a little stubborn. But that being said, you knew where you stood with my mom. Those, around her know that she loved them, although she, like the product of her environment, my grandparents, never necessarily told you she loved you, but you knew it. So, we appreciate everything she has done for us. It wasn't easy raising the three of us by herself, but then again, down here, we had plenty of other mothers and fathers to help us out. So, again, with that, we appreciate you. And Mom, all of us shalom.
Good afternoon. I'm Bennett Greenberg. My sister Amy, who's also here today, are Bill's children and Sonia's stepchildren. My father always used to joke that 1976 was the greatest year for the South. Jimmy Carter won the presidency, and Sonia won my dad's hand in marriage. My father and Sonia were married for 23 years, the same number of years my dad was married to my mother. Sonia has been a part of our lives for over 45 years. I still can't believe she was 86 years old, or almost 86 years old, when she passed. In my mind, I always saw Sonia as frozen in time, never aging, her voice and face still youthful, and her spirit always playful. From the first day we met Sonia, she embraced Amy and me with that southern charm and hospitality and that incredibly strange accent. We got along so well because I did not understand half the things she was saying, which, by the way, was twice as much as I understood Sonia's father, Morris, who I also had the pleasure of meeting. Unlike many second marriages where the new spouse cannot embrace the other's prior life and the relationships that existed and were established, that was certainly never the case with Sonia. Sonia was completely comfortable in her own skin, and as such, wholeheartedly embraced my father's and mother's family and friends. They, in turn, absolutely loved Sonia, cherished her infectious sense of humor and playfulness, established long-lasting relationships with her, and those that are still with us mourn her passing today. From the moment Sonia met my father, she played a significant role in every major milestone of Amy's and my life. Sonia was there when Ann, my wife, and I started dating. She welcomed Ann and my college friends into her home. Ann and Sonia developed an incredibly loving and close relationship over the past 45 years. Perhaps I'm most thankful and blessed for the loving role she played in the lives of my daughters, Emily and Alex. She treated them like gold, was present at every major milestone, from birthdays to bar mitzvahs to weddings, to the birth of their children, Sonia's 4 great-grandchildren. Emily and Alex adored Sonia and loved her laugh and spending time with her. Simply put, Sonia's warmth, humor, and charm allowed her seamlessly to bridge the divide that often exists in second marriages. Ann, Amy, Emily, and Alex and I will miss Sonia immensely, but will be forever grateful that she played such an important role in our lives. We will always cherish her kindness, youthfulness, laughter, and humor.
Thank you all for coming today. Our mom would be very honored that you all bring the cold for Charleston, and potential rain. She got married when it rained, and she always said that if it rained and was cloudy at her wedding, that this was just a sign of you being a nosher. And my mother was a nosher. There was no doubt about it. She loved her nuts. And if you shared any kind of chocolate with her and it didn't have nuts on it, her response was, "Oh, this is such a waste." Wasted on her. And then she loved Cheetos, even to the end. We had to go out and buy her packages of Cheetos so she could have that crunch. And her love for anchovies on her pizza. That was, I think, a Sokol thing. Because I'm looking at Frida, and I know Uncle Joe liked that as well. She also was the princess of shopping, only to be outranked by her sister Jean. They were a dynamic duo, and they will have lots of fun. But you know what? Maybe they can teach each other to get online, because that was definitely not a skill for Mom. If you texted her, that was a disaster. And so we were trying to teach her in the last couple of years just to let Siri do the work. So if you all got any kind of garbled text from her, that was her attempt. But she loved getting pictures of her grandchildren and great-grands and doing FaceTimes with them. That was precious to her. But as Lee said, my mom was who she was. There was no pretending with her. She was a stubborn, matter-of-fact, direct person who even showed up at her 40th birthday party in a bathrobe, because that's the only way that Aunt Jean could get her there, because she didn't want to get dressed. She played Cards Against Humanities with her grandchildren. I think they were humiliated because their grandmother was a little bit too progressive for them. Or being the cleaning wizard, she must have had stocked in spray and wash because she used it plenty with any kind of little spot, whether it was carpet cleaning or whatever. And she also loved plants. She was always in her garden, to the point that her neighbor across the street said he missed when she got sick seeing her tuchus. But beautiful, beautiful orchids. And her nails, her hair, and Hallmark movies. To the end, no matter how sick she was, I can say these all remain priorities. Her nails, everyone remarked in last week, oh my gosh, like that's her priority. Her nails look great. She had important men in her life with her college sweetheart, our dad, Stanley Feinberg, and of course Bill Greenberg. And then her second, and then Uncle Joe, her big brother, who looked after her. Mom's dedication to Hadassah was with her till the end. When she got sick, she was only worried who was going to take over doing the greeting cards. Like her priority, number one priority, a responsibility that she had done for years, and her menorah collection. For any of those that have been in her house, we actually contemplated just bringing all the menorahs here because everyone could have had one, but it is definitely worthy of a dedicated menorah store. The menorah store, no matter whether you called her Sonia, Aunt Sonia, Mom, Grandma, Gigi, or GGG, she always kept us laughing. From her high school award is the most wittiest to the earned descriptor, the comedian, given to her by her grandson, Will. She will be missed by all, and our memories will keep us smiling. Thank you.
In this past week's and in this week's Torah portion, we find that the ultimate hero of the Torah has met his match. Moses is overwhelmed. Moses had the courage to stand up to Pharaoh in Egypt. God performs the magnificent miracles in Egypt, splits the sea, all under the leadership of Moses. But as Moses begins the journey through the desert with the Jewish people in the wilderness, an outsider, someone visiting Jethro, points out that Moshe is pushing himself too hard. And Jethro tells Moses that he's going to become worn out, and not only will he suffer, but the people that are with you will suffer too. Gam ha'am hazeh, the nation that is with you will suffer as well. And Jethro tells Moses, Lo suchal oseu levadecha, you're not able to do this by yourself. And we read Vayishma Moshe, that Moses listens. He accepts the critique, and he accepts that in order to lead a nation successfully, he can't burn himself out. Because not only will he be burnt out, but it will affect the Jewish people as well. If he wants the nation to succeed, he's going to need support. It's difficult to lead a nation alone. I believe it is equally difficult to lead a family alone. Having lived in Charleston for less than 2 years, I never had the privilege of meeting Sonia. But as I heard from members of the community of what Sonia had been through in Charleston, I could only imagine the helplessness and the feeling of being overwhelmed that she must have felt after losing her first husband so suddenly, so shockingly, with 3 little children to raise by herself. And when I had the opportunity to meet with some of her children this week, I expected to hear of those hardships, to hear of the challenges of being raised by a single mother. But what I heard actually surprised me. Toby and Lee shared with me that they never felt like they were being raised by a single mother. As we study the life of Moses, we read of a man of greatness. We read of a man of humility, a source of wisdom, but it was that greatness and that wisdom and that humility that were on display when Moses accepts that he can't do it all by himself. And in quite a natural way, Moses is able to set up a system of support. I believe one of Sonia's great life accomplishments was the ability to match the courageousness and the greatness of Moses to find support. Her children never lacked. They never lacked a male influence or role model in their lives because they had a loving grandfather, a loving uncle, a loving extended family of aunts and uncles, both biological aunts and uncles, and the southern aunts and uncles who took care of them. They say that it takes a village to raise a family. And this community, this group of friends and family, provided that village for her, not only helping her raise a family, but held her up as well, allowing her to flourish and to really live her best life. And while people spent their time supporting her, it was really her that was doing so much to help everyone else, supporting the Charleston community. And it was everyone who's here today, her friends, her family, her community, who gained from the support that they gave to her. While she spent much of her adult life outside of Charleston, Sonia was an active member of our Charleston community. She was a president of the BSBI sisterhood, and for so many years, as we heard, working for Hadassah, she was always thinking beyond herself. Her Judaism was very important to her. She was a woman who was proud of her traditions. Apparently she collected menorahs even. She kept a kosher home for all of those years, to the point that in her final weeks, it would upset her that the aides would confuse the milk dishes and the meat dishes, and that they couldn't quite figure it out. When Sonia moved up north after remarrying, she brought with her her feisty personality, her southern charm, as we heard, and her Charleston accent along with her. She never had much of a filter, saying what was on her mind, and she was known for being incredibly witty, especially when she pulled out her southern Yiddish. And while she never made herself the center of attention, she was an entertainer at heart, even making herself up and entertaining at a family gathering just a few weeks ago. Our Torah portion that we read these weeks described the system of support that was provided for Moses. But if you flip to the final pages of the Torah, you read the last verses, you realize that as the Jewish people mourn Moses' passing, they realized that it wasn't them who were supporting him. It was really they who benefited most. And as we gather here today for our final acts of kindness towards Sonia, we reflect on everything that she has done for our community and her large family, leaving behind her children, her stepchildren, her grandchildren, and her great-grandchildren. Tehi nishmasat tzura b'tzura chayim, may her soul be bound with that which is eternal. We continue now with the burial, similar to the process as we entered the cemetery. The burial is considered in Judaism a great kindness to the deceased, but again, it's an act that's performed with great hesitation. And we have a couple of rituals that I will demonstrate that show our hesitation as we provide this final act of kindness to Sonia. To show our hesitation while performing this act, the custom is that the initial earth from the shovel, we use the back of the shovel for continuing in normal fashion. And rather than handing the shovel from one person to the next, we place the shovel into the earth when we do the act. I call on members of the family first to participate, followed by whoever would like to. Please be very careful when walking on this side with the shovel. I'd like to also mention, for those who find it easier and safer, there's a bucket here of earth and a smaller shovel, which would be much easier and safer.
Come over here. Come over here. Like a little bit longer flow.
He's the cutest thing. Oh, Jane. Debbie loves her. Oh, yeah, he's a big boy. The son is Dorothy.
Put the jacket on top of it. That's his jacket.
I can't even get to it. I can't get it that far. You see your muscles. Spencer, you had a good business. They take this for
Hello,
there. Should you get it again? Because Omicron, they said you can get multiple times.
Her family.
I just had it 2 weeks ago, yeah. Yeah. I know, I'm there every night. They're going to just go to find one of us. He's a nice, I'm going to cry for him. Oh, hopefully she is. I'm not going to go to pictures and everything. That was a brush too. You like it?
But it's a similar.
Yeah, once I get my phone back, I'm gonna call that lady Tammy. Get mom. She needs to step. Good seeing you.
Hey, how are you? 2 years. Almost 2 years. My sister. I did. Yeah, Steven's a buddy of mine, but hopefully getting a new job soon. It's a weird situation out there, so I know how it works. I got a buddy that's been there for 17 years, but it's just weird, like not. It's just weird because the he's working for a corporation.
I told your daughter I was going to go.
We'll be able to do it again now.
He said, "You believe the baby's going to be 30?" I was like, "How?" I think it was very chill.
Yeah, so I had like a good bit of free time. I've been taking some classes online just to pass some time. Not working, but it's going to be back in Charleston soon.
I'll see you over there. I went and stayed with her one time with the bar.
He's just like, yeah, he loves it. He's been there, he's It is, and it's a gorgeous trip. Oh, yeah. You know it well.
I know, I did that. Yes.
If you could please either find your seats or remain standing quietly. At this point, I'm going to recite the Tziduk Hadin. The Tziduk Hadin is a medieval poem about accepting the divine judgment. Hatzor tamim pa'alo ki chol derachav mishpat elam unaviyin avel tzadik v'yashar hu. Hatzor tamim b'chol pa'al miyomar lo mati pa'al hashalit b'matar v'mal mimisum chayeh marid sha'al v'yal. Hatzor tamim b'chol ma'aseh miyomar lo ilav mata aseh ha'omer v'yoseh chased chinam lanu ta'aseh u'vizchus ha'ne'achad kesar hakshiva v'aseh. Tzadik b'chol derachav hatzor tamim erech apanu malei rachamim chamolna v'chusna alavos vanim ki lecha adonas lichos v'arachamim. Tzadik ata Adonai lahamisu lachayos asher b'yadcha pikton kol ruchos chalila lecha zichronenu limchos v'yunai necha berachamim aleinu pikuchos ki lecha adon rachamim b'aslichos. Adam im ben shana yiyah o elef shanim yichya ma yisron lo kilo haya yiyah baruch dayan ha'emes b'misum chaya. Baruch hu ki ames dino u'meshotei hakol be'eno mashalem le'adon cheshbono v'dino v'akol ishmo hodaya yiteno. Yadano Adonai ki tzedek mishpatacha titzak b'dvarecha v'sizka b'shavtacha ve'en lahar chamidas shabatacha tzadik ata Adonai b'yashar mishpatacha dayan emes shofet tzedek ve'emes baruch dayan ha'emes shakol mishpatav tzedek ve'emes nefesh kol chai b'yadacha tzadik malo yamincha v'yadacha rachem al pleitas son yadacha v'somar l'malach haref yadacha gadol ha'itzav v'rav alila asher yinecha pikuchos akol darchei b'nei adam l'seish le'ish k'drachav v'chiper ma'alalav l'agid ki asher Adonai tziriv lo avlasabo Adonai nasan Adonai lakach Yishem Adonai mevarach v'rachum yichaper von v'lo yashchis v'erba lo hashiva po v'lo ya'ir kol chamaso. I call on Cantor Elazar Admon to lead us, to recite for us the Kel Malei Rachamim prayer.
Malei Rachamim shrichen b'meroimim Ametzem menucha nechoino al kanafi ashchino b'maloes kedoshim toirim kezor ki amazirim es nishmas tzivya rezel bat Moshe Pinchos שהולכו לעולמו בעבור שבני משפחתה ייתנו צדקה בעד הזכאות לשמוסו בגן עדן תהא מנוחסו לא כן בעלו רחמים יסתירהו בסס כנפיו לא ילומים ויצרו בצרוכם לשמוסו אדוני הוא נחלוסו וסונוח בשלום על משכבו ונאמר אמן.
I believe it would be appropriate to recite an additional Kel Malei now for David Stanley Feinberg, who predeceased Sonia by so many years, who she now joins in the next world.
אל מולי רחמים שייכן במרוימים המצנב מנוחה נכוינו על כנפי השכינו במעלו קדושים וטהורים כזור כי המזהירים את נשמת רב דוד שלמה בן רב חיים פסח הכהן שהולך לעולמו בעבור שבני משפחתו ייתנו הצדקה בעד הזכרת נשמוסוי בגן עדן תהא מנוחסוי לא כן בעלו רחמים יסתירהו בסס כנפיו לא כנפיו לא ילומים ויצרו בצרוכם ותשמסו אדוני הוא נחלוסו וינוח בשלום על משכבו ונאמר אמן.
Everyone to please rise. At this point, we're going to say the Father.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
At this point, we acknowledge that we have done everything according to our tradition for Sonia, and we now turn our attention to the mourning family. The family will be sitting Shiva at the home of Leah Chase, 13 Jamaica Drive in South Windermere. The family will be sitting Shiva here in Charleston until Friday morning. Shiva visiting hours will be from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. in the evening. Please be mindful of the social distancing and mask wearing while at the Shiva home. Masks will be provided there as well as hand sanitizer. Also, if a crowd begins to develop, please limit your visit to 10, 15, 20 minutes or so that everyone can feel comfortable and safe during the visit to the Shiva home. We continue now with words of consolation to the mourning family. The custom is for the others to line up in 2 rows, and the mourning family will pass through, and we'll offer the words of consolation. Hamakom Yenachem Eschem B'Soch Sha'ar V'Leitzion V'Yerushalayim, that God should provide you comfort among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. I ask everyone to please form 2 rows here that the family may walk.
Every time we used to turn around the church, every time you reminded me when I first got married, sitting upstairs in this chair, and sitting next to her. She was yelling at us periodically. But she didn't do it herself. She just yelled at us. And I'm thinking about it. It's so funny now.